So I go to the Port of Subs and something about it just doesn't look right. Something about the restaurant. I've been here before. And whatever. I get out, I go up to the door and there's like a bunch of people inside and they're all eating lunch. So I'm like, I'm not thinking anything of it. So I walk in the store and I look around and there's just like what looks like workers eating lunch, and the store looks fine. There's like people working and whatnot. And something about like, I just had to stop and I was like, is this place open? And the guy didn't understand English. So I was talking to somebody who didn't understand English. And I was like, is this place open? And he looked at me like I was a fucking idiot.
Did he have a uniform on?
No, he just had an orange, like a bright orange shirt. So I thought it was like a work. I thought it was like a work shirt. So like, I guess the lead person comes over as I'm like talking to this guy who doesn't understand me, and and he made a gesture like the other guy could understand me. So I said, "Is this place open?" And he looks around like I'm a fucking idiot, and he's like, "No, it's not open." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I realize like everyone else is eating like homemade lunch, and the store is under construction.
Shit.
So I have to awkwardly, and because of their trucks were parked in front of the restaurant, I had to park so far away. So the walk of shame from the restaurant back to my car was, it hurt me so bad. The entire like 1 minute walk was like, it hurt my heart.
Wicked smart, wicked cool, wicked fucking stupid, whatever the fuck. Something wicked.
I'm baking like a Georgia teaser. It's so hot here.
My boy's wicked smart.
Cause the boy is hotter than hot. He's hot.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
By the way, Kevin, last week I opened with, ever notice how a lot of Marvel movies have colons?
Yes.
And just to fact check us, Thor Ragnarok actually does have a colon in it.
God damn it.
And we both thought it was fake, which is crazy. But yes, it's Thor colon Ragnarok.
So did you also confirm all the other ones?
No, I just because I knew we were like saying there's no way that's the case. It's definitely just Thor Ragnarok.
I also have a question. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is that a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
I don't think there's a colon involved. But
okay, because it's like an Iron Man 3 type thing. It's like Volume 2 is its own.
Exactly. I mean,
number.
Volume 2
Yeah.
could be like after a colon. So a colon could be preceding Volume 2. We don't know. But anyway, guys, welcome to another episode of Wicked Hot. Kevin and John. Welcome again. I mean, this is the third, right? Third,
yes.
Wicked Hot Marvel Month episode leading up to Infinity War in, well, for us right now, 2 weeks. For you, less than 2 weeks. We're super excited and we're loving this content. It's so good. But Kevin, I know we posted on the Instagram.
We did post on the Instagram.
For, as you know, we always throw out the guests, a little picture or thing to our fans and just be like, hey, what do you think this was? And this week, Kevin, I think we kind of fucked up.
We definitely fucked up, and I didn't even try to cover it up because I could have just deleted the picture and posted something different. But we initially had something different planned for this podcast.
We did. So originally, guys, we posted a picture of, I guess, in the Defenders, right?
It is from
Daredevil.
No,
something.
It's from a Netflix one. What's the black guy?
Luke Cage.
It's from Luke Cage.
Okay, so we posted with the attempt of covering Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
The only Stan Lee cameo, actually, interestingly enough, in a Marvel television program for like Netflix is in posters. He's never actually in any of the TV shows.
Right.
So, yeah, we posted that. But guess what? Anyone who guessed that was wrong. We changed it because there wasn't enough on Stan Lee cameos, which is obvious because he probably amounts to like not even 5 minutes of footage. I don't know. That's a guess.
I'm sure there's a Google search of how much screen time Stan Lee has had in the MCU, and I'm gonna say it's under 3 minutes.
Under 3 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. But yeah, guys. So this week we were actually covering. I think we got a lot of good feedback on the villain stuff. So
yeah, and I'm doing this for me because I had so much fun last week covering the villains and learning about their backstories. I was like, you know what? Let's do heroes, and we both agreed to just fucking do it. So we're covering the heroes, we're covering comic book origins, and what minuscule MCU origins there are. We're comparing those.
Exactly. It's funny because I'm sure people were like very worried that I was going to cover Spider-Man, which would have been like the 17th Spider-Man origin we've seen within like 5 years.
Yeah. So there should be a caveat to this episode. We didn't pick like main Avenger, like MCU Avengers.
Right. We figured that they already had their due within the movies that they've been in. So I think we figured to go with someone a little smaller, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, mine are definitely, and one of mine has no backstory in the MCU, so we're going to learn a lot of shit. But yeah, a lot of mine, and I know a lot of yours, like, there wasn't a good backstory, or it just wasn't accurate, or it was just 10 minutes of one movie.
Yeah, so this is actually a good episode for Infinity War prep, because some of these characters haven't had fleshed out origin stories, and I think we maybe add in a little bit more to our fans' viewing experience of Infinity War. So buckle in, guys. We're doing compare and contrast heroes to their comic book counterparts, and we're starting that in 3, 2, 1. Get into it.
I am Iron Man.
We do this all day. I am Thor, son of Odin.
And Hulk. Smash.
Dormammu, I come to bargain.
The Black Panther has been a protector of Wakanda for generations. The mantle passed from warrior to warrior.
Whoa, you're the Avengers!
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by.
Star-Lord.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
All right, guys. So again, we got compare and contrast heroes to their comic book counterparts. And Kevin, I'm just going to start it off right now. Again, we have to get into Guardians. That's our thing. And I can't not pick a Guardian. Obviously, we're not... I feel like with any of these guys, we actually could make a pretty good story. Like, I probably could do a Star-Lord background, because there's not really a Star-Lord background except for, like, he was a kid and then he was taken. That's about it. But
that's
I'm going to go with one that I am a personal favorite of. I think he's great. I think he's cute in his own way. And it's going to be Rocket Raccoon in Guardians 1 and 2. Rocket is by far one of my favorites. And let's just delve into his history a little bit. So I know people probably aren't surprised about this, because I surely wasn't. The origin of Rocket is definitely deals with drugs, as anyone would guess.
It looks like it. Yeah. It looks like somebody took some hardcore acid and then created this fucking walking trash panda.
Exactly. And it's funny that you should mention acid. The creators of the character were inspired by the Beatles song Rocky Raccoon.
Okay.
Yeah. So Rocket's first appearance was in Marvel Preview number 7. And to anyone that doesn't know what Marvel Preview is, they showcased heroes that were second rate, and they were basically just testing out. And interestingly enough, also Star-Lord made his first appearance as well in a Marvel Preview issue.
So it's like the pilot. It's like the pilot for a comic.
It's
series.
like the pilot. It's like the pilot that everyone can see.
Okay.
So
I like that.
Like a premiere that doesn't have any further episodes written. So so Rocket's true first appearance though wasn't until the Incredible Hulk 271. This is also, funny enough, considered Rocket Raccoon's first color appearance, because Marvel Preview is in black and white.
That's funny, because a raccoon is black and white.
Exactly.
Black and gray.
So it's almost like he was already in color.
Yeah.
But yeah, so until I get into how he appeared in Incredible Hulk, I need to give some backstory into how he ties into the Hulk story and his own story. So basically, it starts off with a robot species that uses genetic engineering to give intelligence and awareness to animals. Yeah, stupid.
So
They
stupid.
all lived. They all lived on a planet called Half World, where they looked over patients from like a previous race of what was known as loonies. So there was a race of people that were known as like
Canadians.
no. There were like the doctors, like the
Okay.
shrinks, and the loonies. So it was like an insane asylum planet, I guess. So there was a talking mole called Judson Jake.
A mole
And
as in the animal, or the mole as in like it's on somebody's face and it talks?
No, Mo the animal, not mole.
Okay.
So Mo called Judson Jake. He's trying to steal this book. Has multiple secrets about the race that came before them, and he was ultimately stopped by the Hulk. So this book apparently helps him conquer the planet and the entire quadrant in the galaxy that it was a part of. So Hulk is actually transported to the planet, and he's greeted by Rocket and his friend. And get this, his friend is a talking walrus. Can you guess what his friend's name is?
Groot or
No.
Walrus.
It is Walrus.
Is it really?
It is. It is. So together they actually assault with Hulk, the headquarters of this Judson Jake guy, but they kind of fail, and Hulk ultimately is sent back to Earth. And so it's funny how many times in the show that I realized that someone that I really, really liked ends up being a total bitch. And Rocket, at his first time that he's in a publication, he's kind of a bitch. He gets captured and experimented on from this point on constantly.
Damn.
And it first happens when an alien called the Stranger takes him to what he calls his lab world to study him. He's also then captured by the Skrulls and held prisoner by the Kree. So the raccoon has basically been captured by basically everyone ever. So there was a series in 2007 called Annihilation Conquest. Rocket met Star-Lord there during that series, and he eventually joined Star-Lord's team that actually included both Mantis, which we know from Guardians 2,
Right.
which is the girl with the antenna, and then Groot, to fight against this entity called the Phalanx, and they took over the Kree Empire.
Were they the Guardians of the Galaxy then, or was it just its own team?
No, it's just his own team.
Okay.
There was more people, but they weren't important to the story.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is basically at the time where Rocket and Groot form a strong bond. And during all these fights, Groot actually dies and then becomes like baby Groot. And then he dies again and is raised by Rocket.
Oh, okay. So that might be why in the movie he has such a connection to him.
Right. And also it's kind of like the same thing. Like he takes like the twig and then plants it. And
Right.
he
It's like he
becomes-
knows how to do it because it's happened
Right.
before.
Right. So when the team finally does battle with the Phalanx's leader, who, which is crazy, is Ultron, they almost lose until allies Nova Prime, Gamora, and Drax save them.
Okay.
So that's how they're like their own teams. Like Nova, they were talking about Gamora and Drax come and save them during a battle with Ultron, and they finally defeat them. They defeat Ultron. So Rocket finally joins the Guardians of the Galaxy in 2008 in the 2008 like issue series,
Okay.
and it's basically the team that we know today with some extras. So it's Star-Lord, Rocket, Drax, Gamora, Groot, and I'm pretty sure Nova was also a part of that team as well.
AKA
So-
John C. Reilly.
AKA we hope John C. Reilly. It's not though, because I know his name is not the name of the true Nova. So and actually, interestingly enough, Rocket actually becomes the leader of the Guardians for a time when Star-Lord's off doing other things.
No shit.
So yeah, and I'm thinking like Rocket is in a way very, very similar to how he's compared in the movie as to like the comic.
just like his personality is
Just like his
similar?
his personality is similar. He's definitely like into like blowing shit up. He's not aware that he's a raccoon.
Is he as smart as he is in the movie?
Yeah, he's like a master tactician.
Okay.
Like Star-Lord recruits him because he knows he's like that good at coming up with like plans and just like executing very well.
This is one of the times where I'm going to be that asshole where the book is better than the movie. Because like I like that backstory and how they meet more than I like how they meet in Guardians.
Oh, where he like they just are like looking for a bounty or whatever.
Yeah, like they're looking for a bounty and they all kind of come together in the prison. I like how Star-Lord like recruits them because of how badass they are. Yeah. I think that would have been a way better intro to the movie than like meeting in prison.
They don't meet in prison. I think the way they were going, like the comedic approach, definitely works the way they met. Yeah. Whereas I feel like this is more like the serious approach of how they like got the team together.
Right. And if they don't meet in prison, you don't have that amazing Drax scene where he's like, why would I put my finger on his throat?
Yeah, exactly. Because then at this point, clearly, in the Rocket backstory, Drax and Gamora are working together. I mean, I didn't really dive into their backstory at all, but I mean,
so that's completely different than the movie.
At this moment in Rocket's history, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting because in the movie they meet in like right before prison. Like literally right before prison. So and
except
they hate
for
each
Drax.
other.
Drax they meet in prison.
Drax they meet in prison and Drax hates her.
So I guess in the comics, Rocket was a bit of a sidekick to Star-Lord. I think your next guy is kind of like a sidekick to the main dude.
Yeah, the Godfather, Tony Stark. Yeah,
yeah.
I chose James Rhodey Rhodes because in the movie we don't get a whole lot of backstory on what's going on with War Machine,
especially when he turns from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. That's never explained.
Yeah.
Why hasn't Tony Stark noticed that his friend's been missing for like fucking 10 years?
Yeah, why doesn't he realize that Don Cheadle's an imposter and Terrence Howard is the real Rowdy?
Yeah, so does this happen where someone just takes over his body?
That doesn't happen. Actually, kind of happens. I'll get to it, but it kind of happens in this backstory.
Okay.
So
let's get into it.
The military backstory of Rowdy in the movie is similar, but so he first appears in Iron Man 118 in 1979. So like his military backstory is like Vietnam War, not Afghanistan War, obviously.
Obviously.
So they kind of modernized it there.
Unless he's like a Soviet.
Yeah. So he was a lieutenant for the U.S. Marines. So at one point he is doing a mission during the Vietnam War, and his plane gets shot down by the filthy Viet Congs.
Oh God, the VC, Charlie.
They shoot a rocket, fires his plane down. He gets trapped behind enemy lines like the
Wilson movie.
The Owen Wilson, amazing Owen Wilson movie.
It is an amazing Owen Wilson movie. Oh wow, I'm behind enemy lines.
So at one point after this happens, he meets Iron Man, and
can I just say one more thing? I'm behind enemy lines. You know the part where he's like just drinking a Coca-Cola? It's just like, oh wow, these Serbians really like Coca-Cola. I don't know why I make Owen Wilson sound like he's from the Midwest. It's like
it sounds like he's from Minnesota.
Yeah. Does he sound like he's from Minnesota?
He's got like the don't you know type thing, like a Bobby's World.
He does.
His mom.
All right, I'm sorry. I know I completely but I feel like that's needed to be put in there somehow.
So at one point, he meets Iron Man, who apparently just escaped from a Viet Cong prison camp.
Iron Man did?
Iron Man did, yes. And this is how... So this story actually correlates with Iron Man 1, like how he escapes from the cave in Iron Man 1.
Oh, shit.
So
were the 10 rings Mandarin?
No, it was not 10 rings related in the comics.
We're about to go in an hour later.
Surprise, it's a Mandarin 10 Rings episode. So he escapes from a Viet Cong prison camp with a prototype suit.
Oh, shit.
So very similar to the Ironmonger suit. I guess the Mark 1, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Mark 1. Yeah.
So they escape together, they defeat the Viet Cong, and they fly back to the base that shot down Rhodes, and they fucking destroy it. Kind of like he does in Iron Man 1.
Oh,
so he's out
yeah.
for vengeance, and he's like, I'm going to take this shit down. So they destroy this rocket yard. Everybody in it, just fucking kill everybody.
Oh, shit. He's murdering fools?
Pretty much. I mean, they're blowing up the entire thing. They're killing people.
That's true.
So after they're done killing everybody in this base, they fly back to like the American safe zone in wherever the fuck it is, South Korea.
South Vietnam, dude. You're getting confused. So they fly back to South Vietnam.
They fly back to South Vietnam, not South Korea. And when they land, so this is kind of where I'm confused, and you might be able to help me out.
Okay.
So at this point, Tony Stark comes up and thanks Rhodes for helping him, or for helping Iron Man. So at this, I'm not sure if Rhodes knows that Iron Man is Tony Stark. They don't really make that clear, because I know a lot of in the comics, like, nobody knows who their alter ego is. Like in the movie, it's everybody in the world knows,
except for Spider-Man, I guess.
Right. So everyone in the world knows in the movies, but in the comics, it seems like even when they're hanging out at the Avengers Mansion, they all don't know who each other are.
Get the fuck out! Are you serious?
Yeah. So
that must be really annoying.
I keep wanting to say Robert Downey Jr., but I'm gonna try to keep saying Tony Stark. So Tony Stark goes up to Rhodes, thanks him for helping Iron Man, and offers him a job as his personal pilot. So
that's kind of like uppity as fuck about Tony Stark.
It kind of
He's
is
like,
yeah.
hey, you helped me like destroy this entire village. I think you'd be a good chauffeur. Like that's how I took it.
Yeah, it's like you could really help me as Iron Man, but I just want you to fly my personal plane when I'm going to fuck chicks in Italy or whatever. So Rhodes declines, and he goes on some mercenary missions during the Vietnam War, like he's doing mercenary shit.
Okay.
And he finally decides to retire, and he goes back to Stark, and he says, "You know what? I'll be your personal pilot." And Stark makes him the chief aviation engineer for Stark International, which is Stark's company at the time.
Yep.
So during this time, Obadiah Stane is apparently fucking shit up. He's causing Stark International to lose business, loses all of his foreign contracts.
Is he Ironmonger yet at this point?
Yes, but I don't believe they know who
each other are.
Yeah, they don't know that Obadiah Stane is Ironmonger yet.
Okay.
So Tony Stark starts to go broke. Like, he goes into heavy debt and becomes a raging alcoholic. And
damn.
Yeah, this is a downward spiral for Robert Downey Jr., so he could relate to this.
Yeah.
So at one point, Stark is just so fucking drunk off his ass and poor. And so he goes to Rhodes and he says, like, I want you to be Iron Man. So Rhodes actually takes up the mantle of Iron Man for a good long while.
Really?
Yeah, so there's no War Machine yet.
So Rhodes is Iron Man.
Yeah, Rhodes is Iron Man, and he recruits a couple people from Stark International, Morley Irwin, and somebody else a little later. But
okay.
They actually quit Stark International and start their own company. And Rhodes
he just stole his tech. They're like, I'll be Iron Man and I'll start my own company.
No,
bitch.
like Stark is okay with what's going on.
Okay. He's like, here's to your fucking private pilot, asshole.
So he starts his own company, and he basically destroys every other Iron Man suit because Tony Stark is in such a bad place, and he doesn't want Obadiah Stane or S.H.I.E.L.D. to get the other suits, so Rhodes destroys all the rest of the suits. So there's only this one suit left.
That Rhodes is in.
Right. So after he destroyed all the suits, Morley and Rhodes, they basically tried to start their own company, and Rhodes is doing mercenary work to pay for them starting this company. So he's basically an assassin to fund his new tech startup.
Yeah, that's hilarious. He goes to the bank. He's like, "How are you going to pay for this?" "Oh, contracting or whatever." And he's over here fucking murdering fools for that fucking home loan from Chase.
Yeah. So he's doing mercenary work to pay for the company, but he's also doing the mercenary work to pay for the upkeep on the suit, which is apparently really expensive.
Yeah, dude. It's like a Porsche.
It's like you go get that Porsche and you don't realize that the oil change costs $120. Yeah. And you're just like, poor. Seriously. So he's out there doing mercenary work, getting funding to pay for his escapades as a mercenary. So it's like a catch-22. So he actually fights like a bunch of main Iron Man villains. He fights the Mandarin, defeats him, Thunderball, Zodiac, Radioactive Man. He does all the shit as Iron Man. So he's like, this is before War Machine ever exists. Like, he is Iron Man at one point.
Oh, shit.
So it all comes at a cost because Rhodes is getting real fucked up inside of this suit.
Oh, damn.
So the suit is like specifically fit, or at least the helmet in general is specifically fit to Tony Stark. It's controlled by Tony Stark's brainwaves. And since it's not Tony Stark in the suit, it's causing Rhodes to have these headaches and go into fits of rage. So at one point, Tony Stark tries to help Rhodes and is basically helping him like keep up the suit, do the repairs on it. And Rhodes, like in a rage because of this suit, is like fucking with his head. He resents Tony and kind of gets the thought that Tony's trying to take back the suit, and they have like a big falling out after this, like at this point.
Damn, this sounds like a movie should be made about this.
Yeah. So, and this guy is in every fucking backstory that I've read. Hank goddamn Pym.
Dude, seriously, he's in my backstories too.
So Rhodes goes to get help for his headaches and his rage, and he goes to Hank Pym for help.
Who's suffering from schizophrenia?
Yeah, he's schizophrenic, and he doesn't know
if
he's...
this rat poison.
Yeah. So Hank actually sends him to another doctor, and this is where it gets like fucking weird.
Doctor Strange?
No, it's a different doctor. So they go
Dr.
to
Octopus?
No, it's Dr. Two. This is his last name. Dr. Two Young Men. As one word, Dr. Two Young Men. That's written by a fucking 12-year-old.
What's the fucking Charlie Sheen show?
2.5 Men.
2.5 Men.
Dr. 2.5 Men. So he goes to Dr. 2.5 Men, and Dr. 2.5 Men takes him on this journey to a mythic dimension called the Gorge. And every time I say that, and I've read this a couple times, I keep thinking the Bulge, like a gay club or something. Takes him to the Gorge, which could also be a gay club. And it's revealed that Rhodes feels guilty about donning the suit, and he feels unworthy of the armor.
Okay.
So Rhodes...
I thought you were going to say he felt guilty going to the Gorge.
Go to the Gorge.
Man, I really shouldn't be here, but I don't know.
He's like, man, I got a girlfriend at home, but there are some hot guys here. So yeah, he actually leaves the Iron Man suit back on the Bulge or the Gorge, and the people inside of the gorge, the alien
Just say
race,
the other dimension. Just say the. I can't even.
they actually find the Iron Man suit, fix it up, and send it, like, I guess via U.S. Postal Service back to Rhodes.
Was there like his ID? He left his ID. They're like, oh, we'll just send it. Like
Yeah, he's like, oh, this guy must have lost this suit. Let's send it back.
yeah, that's smart.
So this is kind of where War Machine comes in.
Okay.
So in the movie, Justin Hammer like fits the outfit with all the guns and whatnot. It doesn't necessarily work out that way, but Justin Hammer is involved in why we have War Machine in the comics.
Oh, cool.
So there's this group of 3 Japanese warriors called the Masters of Silence, and Justin Hammer tricks them into attacking Iron Man. And they actually defeat Stark as Iron Man. This is a little later on.
Okay.
And they're like immune to any weapons that Iron Man has. Like Justin Hammer has like outfitted them with all this anti-Iron Man tech.
Yeah.
So at this point, Stark's defeated. He goes back to his Stark Tower and builds this variable threat response battle suit. To shorten it up, he named it War Machine.
Nice.
And it was a heavily armored version of the Iron Man suit that was like capable of all-out warfare. So
That's pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, in this storyline, Tony Stark dies, and Rhodes is left in charge of Stark Enterprises and the variable threat response battle suit, Model 16 Mark 1.
Yeah.
AKA War Machine. War Machine actually fights like a ton of Iron Man villains, and this is like when this is a bunch of series where Iron Man is just dead. Like the people actually think that he's dead.
So there's no Iron Man.
No, there's no Iron Man.
Rhodes is War Machine now.
It just looks like, yeah, War Machine has taken the place of Iron Man, in at least in comic terms.
Okay.
So he fights Spy Master, Atom Smasher, the Mandarin, of course. I wouldn't.
God.
So, surprise, it turns out Tony Stark is alive. And Rhodes is like, what the fuck? He's like the only person who's like, you were alive this whole time and I've been fighting this shit?
Yeah.
So Rhodes is pissed. He quits Stark Enterprises, and the friendship between them is like never the same. They're like work friends where they're not like super friendly outside of being Iron Man or War Machine.
Yeah.
So they pretty much go their separate ways and they do their own thing. At one point they do team back up, but Rhodes eventually like tried to give the War Machine armor back to Tony Stark, and they kind of pay homage to it in the movie, because in the comics he says it was always yours. And he says that in the movie when Rhodes tries to give the War Machine or the Iron Patriot suit back.
Yeah.
Like he says that it was always yours.
Okay, so your guy was Iron Man, and you know what? Iron turns to scrap, and my next person is Scrapper 142, aka Valkyrie in Thor: Ragnarok.
I'm glad we cleared that up earlier, because
I'm so glad too. Yeah, it's nice to know that there was a colon always there. So, so I'm doing Valkyrie, Scrapper 142 in Thor: Ragnarok, and so Valkyrie actually first appeared as a disguise of the Enchantress, and not the DC villain. This is actually a Thor villain, the Enchantress, and she first appeared in Avengers 83 in 1970. So there was another iteration of the character that the Enchantress uses. She actually uses Valkyrie's power on a mortal in an attempt to get revenge on the Hulk. I don't know why, but she does. And it's that actually appears in Incredible Hulk 142 in 1971. And if you didn't notice, that's just a special nod from the Thor Ragnarok team for when the Grand Master refers to Valkyrie as Scrapper 142.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's from Incredible Hulk 142.
Wow.
Yeah, so before being imprisoned by Enchantress, Valkyrie, and I'm going to throw around Valkyrie and Brunhilde because that's her name.
Brunhilde, like Django Unchained?
Like Django Unchained. In
Wow.
fact, I actually have another Django reference in my thing, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so Brunhilde was selected by Odin to lead the Valkyrior, and
I like how you put the accent on the name.
well, for like Brunhilde.
Yeah, it really like brings the ambiance.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm doing like a little Christoph Waltz there for you.
Nice. I like that.
So yeah, she led the Valkyrior, and they would choose, as within Norse mythology, worthy mortals who were slain on the battlefield to bring to Valhalla. So there actually came a time where Odin was forced to cease all contact with Earth in accordance to a pact he made with other celestials. So all the celestials within the galaxy basically said they wouldn't interfere with Earth and be seen as gods anymore to them.
Okay.
So they wouldn't like interfere within like mortals' lives and spread their influence or do any like what people would think is like, faith or magic or whatever. All of that was gone. So this made Valkyrie and other Valkyrior only able to choose worthy fallen Asgardians. And this kind of actually left Valkyrie without any meaning in her life. So this is the weird thing. So Valkyrie, this is actually the point where Valkyrie meets Enchantress and in a way becomes a villain for a time.
Really?
Yeah. So Enchantress actually offers her a life like of adventure, and the two eventually go on quests together until Valkyrie kind of figures out that Enchantress is actually evil and she's basically been a part of her like nefarious plans all along. So when she finally realizes this, Enchantress traps Valkyrie and leaves her in the Marvel favorite, suspended animation.
Oh, God. Very convenient way to say that they're just kind of on hold.
Exactly. So now Enchantress has the ability to take on Valkyrie's powers and then also give them to other people. So for this moment on, Valkyrie is basically bad because it's Enchantress appearing as Valkyrie. And she actually, when she was appearing as Valkyrie, she tried to lead a team of powerful female superheroes against the male Avengers. What? Which is crazy. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like good superheroes, not bad?
Not yeah, like good superheroes, like good female superheroes.
Oh,
she was like turning everyone against each other.
She was on that Spice Girls girl power thing, right?
Yeah. So for a long time, Brunhilde was not the Valkyrie, and instead her subconscious was placed into a lot of people. And it finally landed on, and this, get ready for this name, Barbara Norris.
That's a fucking white name right there.
Yeah. It's like Chuck Norris's like sister or something, Barbara Norris.
Yeah.
So Barbara Norris. So like it's weird because Brunhilde and her subconscious, they team up with Enchantress and the Defenders, which are good guys,
right,
to defeat an evil sorcerer.
When you say her
yeah.
subconscious, do you mean like a floating cloud of her personality?
Yes, her personality and her like mind, basically.
Okay.
So after so Enchantress at this point is good, I guess, and is with the Defenders, and then Valkyrie is also with the Defenders fighting this sorceress, this evil sorceress. After they finally defeat the sorceress, Enchantress forgets to undo the spell on Barbara Norris, and as a result of that, Norris's subconscious is trapped in Brunhilde's suspended animated body.
Jesus.
So they basically and then Brunhilde, which is Valkyrie, was in Chuck Norris's body. Or Barbara Norris. So it's like the old Parent Trap, Freaky Friday switcheroo.
The old switcheroo, yeah. Disney nails those. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Exactly. So Barbara Norris is in Valkyrie's body. Valkyrie's body is in Barbara Norris's body. So even though like basically her entire subconscious was in Norris's body, Brunhilde still had amnesia.
Of course. Of course.
And she didn't realize that she wasn't in her native body. So she thought like this is how she was. And that's it. So Valkyrie, who's now in Norris's body, remained with the Defenders. And she actually became one of its long-lasting members. Later on, she actually realized that her body wasn't hers. Because there was this conflict going on in Asgard where some warrior tries to take over Valhalla. And at this point, Valkyrie in Norris's body crosses paths with her actual, like, true body. And it's... I know.
And she just, like, remembers, oh, shit, I used to look like that. You're me.
Yeah, so
wow.
And it's funny because their mental essences fight each other.
Oh,
but they're actually... Yeah. Yeah. But they're actually never able to, like, claim their true body for both of them. So... And this is
why don't they just agree? Why don't they just be like, "Hey, I want my body back. Here's yours." You know,
exactly.
Yeah, like why don't they just agree to just change bodies?
So I guess Barbara didn't get back to Valkyrie's body because she just kind of goes away, and then Valkyrie's body is taken to the realm of Niflheim, and then Valkyrie just goes back as Barbara Norris to Earth. She's just like, "All right, my body's gone. I'm just gonna go back to Earth and do Barbara Norris things." So,
which is like, you know, drive your pickup truck, like you're wearing a plaid like shirt, red shirt
with a giant belt buckle.
Yeah.
So, so obviously Valkyrie doesn't really care about any of this, like her body being taken away, until Barbara Norris's body dies. So her mortal body, which is Barbara Norris, dies, and she actually just becomes like an essence, just floating freely and with like no vessel to like, you know, enter. So
Jesus Christ. I'm just thinking of like who's writing these. And I'm like, it's a guy who's like, oh, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna make her die, and her essence is gonna fly up, and then she's gonna have heat vision, and then she's gonna have this like. Calm down, man.
Yeah, so it's funny because Doctor Strange helped put her mind back into her body, and guess who fucking rescued her body from Niflheim?
Hank motherfucking Pym.
No.
Damn it. I was so confident.
Yeah, that would have been fucking hilarious, though. No, actually, it was Enchantress. Enchantress stole the body back.
Wow.
Yeah, so it kind of comes from, like, she fucked her over, and then she ended up getting her body back. But... Again, Doctor Strange put her mind back into her real body, so Valkyrie is now truly Valkyrie. She gets all her memories back about the Enchantress and immediately battles her and banishes her into a crystal of souls. So she basically traps Enchantress into a gem.
After she saved her fucking body?
Yeah, well, she was like, fuck you for keeping me in suspended animation for God knows how long.
It's like, yeah, she did fuck up by doing that, but she made it all right by saving your body.
Yeah. Clearly Valkyrie is so much different in Thor Ragnarok and so much better too.
Yes, I agree.
This Valkyrie honestly kind of sucks considering she's not even like in her real body for her entire existence.
Yeah, not only is she not in her real body, but she's also like kind of a bitch, like a weak ass bitch. Like she never wins anything.
No,
except for the last battle with the Enchantress.
And then she basically joins like the fucking reject Avengers, which is the Defenders.
Yeah, come up with a better name, you dipshits.
Yeah, so it's really weird because like Valkyrie in the movie, she obviously she's known as a Valkyrie, but it doesn't make it seem like she was the main one. Because Thor just says like, "Oh, you're a Valkyrie," but not. It seemed like she wasn't really leading them when they were fighting against Hela. Which, by the way, amazing cinematography in that shot and that entire scene. First of all, that movie has amazing cinematography, but that entire thing of like with the lights and then coming out of like the heavens to fight Hela, beautiful shot.
It was probably one of the best shots cinematography effects in the entire MCU so far.
Yeah, agreed.
It looks so good. And like, first of all, I don't like her backstory in Thor Ragnarok, but now hearing her backstory, like, I understand why they went that route, because like her backstory is not very good.
No, it's very confusing because I mean I think the whole Enchantress thing is pretty sweet, and I'm surprised they haven't featured this villain because she's a fucking huge villain, and she's kind of like Thor's Catwoman. Like he's romantically involved with her, but she still kind of like fucks him over and stuff. And it seems like they kind of replaced Enchantress with Hela, even though Hela's still her own character and villain within the Thor storyline. But it seems like Valkyrie, they just were like, we want to go with Hela and bring in an Enchantress.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to the thing that I hate. They didn't say her name. I didn't know that she was Valkyrie. I didn't know about Valkyrie in general, but the fact that she was her own hero named Valkyrie, I didn't know that. And the movie did not make that clear.
Yeah. They just made it seem like she was a part of the Valkyrie.
Right.
So if anything, it's like an homage to Brunhilde, because I don't think they don't ever say like her name's Brunhilde.
No, they don't ever say her name.
Yeah, she's just Scrapper 142, and then you're a Valkyrie.
Yeah,
of Asgard.
Yeah, they never say
that's
her
basically
name.
it. All right,
Right.
Cool. Yeah, movie for me on this one for sure, 1,000%. Yeah, so kind of like how Valkyrie kind of didn't have any movie backstory at all. Your character also, and interestingly enough, also appears in Thor.
Yeah.
For the first time in his character's existence in the MCU.
Yeah, so mine is the most main of characters that has literally no backstory at all of anybody, not even hero or villain. And I'm talking about Hawkeye. He has no backstory in the MCU.
He just exists.
He's just there, kind of like Black Widow is in the MCU.
Yeah, but I think Hawkeye appeared as like a cameo first.
Yeah, Hawkeye definitely, as much or as little as backstory as Black Widow has had in the MCU, Hawkeye has had 100% less.
I'm pretty sure Maria Hill of S.H.I.E.L.D. has more backstory than Hawkeye does.
Definitely. So Hawkeye, I understand why they don't touch on this backstory, because the backstory for Hawkeye in the comics is nothing like his backstory or how he acts in the Avengers MCU at all. Like, he's completely different. So he's just a regular human. He has no superpowers or anything like that. He was born in Iowa. And at a young age, get this may be the first time you've ever heard this storyline, but his parents die in a car accident and he becomes an orphan at a young age.
Never heard of that story ever.
Yeah, very unique. Yeah. So he and his brother go into an orphanage, and after 6 years, he's like, fuck it, I have enough. I'm going to run away. So he runs away with his brother, and again, very original, joins a carnival. Not a circus, a carnival. And
so he becomes a carny.
He becomes a carny, yeah.
Not a good look for Hawkeye right now.
No. And I'm just picturing Jeremy Renner like being in this carnival.
Taking tickets for the dunk tank.
Yeah. So they join this carnival, and Clint actually like catches the eye of one of the performers, the swordsman. So swordsman actually takes Clint as his assistant and kind of teaches him how to shoot a bow, and just about, he's kind of like a father figure to Clint.
Okay.
And they like in this circus as well, there's like another master villain, which is kind of a coincidence that there's two master villains in this one circus.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a coincidence at this point.
So swordsman and Trickshot become like his mentor in archery. And takes a dark turn. So Clint actually finds out that Swordsman is embezzling money from the circus. And like,
what an asshole.
Right when Hawkeye or Clint is about to turn him in, Swordsman beats him within an inch of his life. Almost kills
Holy
the guy.
Jesus.
So Trickshot and Swordsman escape, and Clint doesn't leave the circus. He's just kind of like practicing his archery skills and like basically takes over Swordsman and Trickshot's spot in the circus and becomes like this master archer. And actually, before his name is Hawkeye in the comics, his name is the world's greatest marksman. Which is a long name. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
So
Not very superhero-y.
yeah, like his nickname is Hawkeye. So he goes by the world's greatest marksman for a while, and then they're finally like, God, I'm not saying that. You're Hawkeye. You're just Hawkeye from now on. So he actually witnesses Iron Man save somebody's life. And he's like, oh, fuck. I would like to do that. I would like to be a superhero. Which it's that easy nowadays,
Yeah,
apparently.
just do it. Oh, it is.
So he decides he kind of like does his own vigilante thing, like makes his own suit and goes out and tries to be a superhero. But the first time that he goes out, he is accused of theft and becomes a criminal. And he's basically on the run. He finally catches a break, apparently, like in his eyes at this time, meets Black Widow, who at this time is not an Avenger. She's a spy for the Soviet Union and a hardcore villain.
Oh, damn.
He falls in love with her, so maybe that's that's why they have the awkwardness between them in the movies, is like their backstory that they're not talking about yet.
Yeah, I mean, I know Black Widow wears an arrow necklace.
Right. They kind of like become a Bonnie and Clyde type, and they're just like stealing all this tech from Tony Stark and sending it to the Soviets. At one point, Hawkeye and Black Widow actually battle with Iron Man, and Black Widow becomes like super injured, like seriously injured, and Hawkeye saves her, and like he's about to take her to the hospital. And she just like dips out of the car and she's just vanished.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if they were in a car. I'm just assuming that they were. But she dips out nonetheless. Like later on, like Hawkeye goes off on his own and he rescues this random guy who happens to be Edwin Jarvis, who in the comics is Tony Stark's butler.
Yeah.
And in the movie, I didn't know this at all. The movie, it's the AI Jarvis. Who's in all the movies and actually becomes Vision later on.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's like a mind fuck right there.
Yeah, Jarvis is like Alfred.
Right. In the comics, in the movies, it's so fucking different. So
yeah, 100%.
Hawkeye saves Jarvis and his mother, and as like gratitude or repayment, he's like, "Hey, I'll set you up with this meeting at the Avengers Mansion with Tony Stark." And he's like, "Oh fuck. I like Tony Stark." So Hawkeye takes him up. They meet, and Iron Man believes that Hawkeye is like genuine. He wants to be a hero, so they actually make him a Avenger, and Iron Man sponsors him like as an Avenger, like a fucking AA meeting or something.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like he's like part of a country club now. Like, yeah, this is my referral. The big fucking rich billionaire has told me I could be a part of this country club.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, the Avengers is run by Captain America, and they're having this big ceremony and inducting new members into the Avengers at this time. And Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch, they're all kind of on the same team together. They're all on the same Avengers team.
Scarlet Witch, you say?
Yeah. So at this point, this is where it really differs from the movie. Hawkeye and all the other Avengers, they fucking hate each other. Hawkeye hates everybody, especially Captain America.
Damn.
So, like throughout the comics of him like growing up, he has problems with authority. So that's why he hates Captain America the most, is because like he is the like Mr. Avenger, like he is the fucking leader of the Avengers at this time.
Right.
So, like, after this, after Hawkeye becomes an Avenger, Swordsman actually tries to join the Avengers, and Hawkeye kind of warns them against this guy. And luckily, they believe him. They fucking hate Hawkeye at this point, but they believe that Swordsman is a dipshit and
they
bad
ran the
guy.
background check.
Yeah. So while they're battling as Avengers, it's kind of funny because like Hawkeye's bow gets broken. And rather than go to like a Cabela's or a Sportsman's Warehouse and get a new bow, this guy's like, I'm going to change identities. Fuck a bow. I'm going to become Goliath.
What?
Yeah. Hank Pym strikes again. So he takes up the mantle of Goliath, and he's Goliath for a long while.
Hank Pym is like the fucking Kevin Bacon of this
Yeah.
Marvel universe.
Hank Pym meter it. So as Goliath, he goes on a ton of like solo missions, and eventually he links back up with his brother Barney. And they
Clinton Barney.
Barney Barton.
God.
Fucking white name right there.
Yeah.
I can say that about every comic book name. So he goes on a solo mission and hooks back up with Barney and basically figures out that Barney is this fucking hardcore criminal. Like, he's a master racketeer, and he's like, shit, I'm not okay with this, but you're my brother. And apparently Egghead like comes into this, and at that point is trying to steal a death ray, which just happens to be orbiting Earth.
Of course.
At this point. So he's trying to steal this death ray, and eventually Goliath, aka Hawkeye, stops the Egghead from taking this shit. But in the process, his brother Barney dies. And it comes out later that he was this fucking hero, FBI undercover agent trying to stop Egghead.
Oh, damn.
Conveniently.
Of course.
So this is actually where Swordsman comes back and helps Egghead. And so thinking that Goliath is Hank Pym, Egghead hires Swordsman to come back and capture Goliath. Not knowing that it's actually Hawkeye as Goliath. Goliath actually like captures Swordsman and Egghead as Goliath. And during the Kree Skrull War, that's a fucking mouthful. I know we talked about this last episode.
We did. Yes.
It's like a big event in the Marvel comic universe.
It is. Yeah.
So at the end of this war, Clint actually like reassumes the identity of Hawkeye and like comes up with a new costume idea. And apparently at this point he had already gone to Dick's Sporting Goods and got a new bow.
Nice.
And decided to
to
take up the mantle of Hawkeye. He actually quits the Avengers at one point because he's in love with Scarlet Witch and he battles it out with Vision.
Oh shit.
And they have a little falling out, and he quits the Avengers, and that's kind of where we leave him. Is he's off doing his own thing, and he's not really a part of the Avengers anymore.
Interesting. Well, it's also interesting that our next two really relate to Hawkeye. This is kind of interesting that we all picked kind of like the characters that relate to each other. But yeah, just how you were saying Hawkeye was into Scarlet Witch. My next character just happens to be Scarlet Witch. In Avengers 1, 2, and 2.5, Captain America. Strap yourselves in, guys, because we're in for a crazy ride. At least I thought so. I didn't realize how interesting Scarlet Witch's backstory was.
That is interesting, that her backstory is interesting, because in the movies, it's not interesting at all.
Exactly. And reading her backstory made me want to read more issues with her, because she's got a really rich history and just a lot of interesting things that happened to her.
Isn't she basically considered one of the most powerful people in the Marvel universe?
Yes. So it's Wanda Maximoff, which is Scarlet Witch. She appears alongside her brother Quicksilver in X-Men #4 in 1964.
Damn, that's
so
early.
she's originally an X-Men character, not an Avenger. So I feel like Quicksilver also intertwines with her story, so I'm just going to refer to them as both for the meantime. So both members, both appear as members of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but they were seen as more reluctant villains. Kind of how like they're depicted in Avengers: Age of Ultron. They're just victims of their own misfortune, which
they're kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right, and that just led them down like a dark path. So, speaking of their misfortune, the whole reason they were recruited into Magneto's BEM started when they were children who thought they were the kin of a Romani couple, so gypsies.
Fucking gypsies.
Django, not Unchained.
Wow.
Maximoff and Maria Maximoff. So Django and Maria Maximoff.
Is it DJ?
It is DJ.
Wow.
The D is silent. Yeah,
I'm impressed.
Yeah. So apparently Scarlet Witch's dad was a huge bag of dicks, and she and Quicksilver both ran away, and they became drifters.
God damn. Every fucking time. They're either orphans or they're drifters or they're gypsies, and in this case they're both.
Exactly. But they end up meeting with Magneto, and unbeknownst to all of them, Magneto included, is that they didn't know that he's the father. Surprise, Magneto is the father of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. So, although I feel like people should know this. Did you know this?
I learned it in the first episode, I think. The first episode of this Marvel series.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, I hate to use this term again, it blew my dick off.
It did blow your dick off, I'm sure. So despite Scarlet Witch being a villain for the beginning of her appearances in X-Men, there's never really anything crazy that she does. Magneto also gets imprisoned by, again, the Stranger, and I talked about him when he took Rocket Raccoon as a experiment or whatever.
Right.
So the Maximoff twins, Wanda and Pietro, leave their evil ways behind them once Magneto's kind of out of the picture. And it's actually funny because they're then recruited by Iron Man in Avengers #16. And get this, the Avengers were advertising for new members.
In what, like Craigslist?
Yeah. Hey, it's a cash-only job. Gotta be an Avenger. Must have superpowers.
That's a shady fucking ad right there.
It is. That's probably he only got the crazies and then the one people that actually had powers.
Yeah.
So a little after joining, Scarlet Witch actually lost her powers. And she left the Avengers, and her brother ended up joining up with Magneto again. So while away from the Avengers, Scarlet Witch studied a bunch of tomes, and she actually accidentally summoned a warlord from another dimension called Akron.
Accidentally.
Yes, accidentally summoned him. And of course he immediately kidnapped her and brought her back to his homeworld to marry her, because that's the first fucking response to being summoned. Quicksilver ended up finding out, and he told the Avengers, and they both Quicksilver and the Avengers teamed up and came to rescue her, and they succeeded. So in the 1983 issue of Vision and the Scarlet Witch, Wanda finally finds out that Magneto is allegedly her true father.
Oh, so she doesn't know at this point?
She doesn't know until this issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we find out before she does.
Correct. So Kevin will go over, but Wanda and Vision fall in love, and they're an item.
They're
a
fuck.
thing. Yeah. They're Scarlet Vision. What do you think is like the Brangelina of Scarlet Witch and Vision?
Skizhin.
Vision.
Skizhin.
Skizhin.
It has to be one word. It can't be two words.
Okay, fine.
It's got to be Skizhin.
But yeah, so they're an item. They actually end up having kids, and it all goes to shit because she finds out her kids are children that are. Doesn't really make sense, but I'm just gonna go with it. They're shards of the soul of the villain Mephisto, and he absorbs her children and kills them.
He absorbs them like there's some sort of fucking twin. Like,
so she ends up rejoining the Avengers and continues to increase and harness her power and understanding of chaos magic, which is magic that can basically bend existence and time. It's like the platinum level of magic, if you will.
oh shit. It's that Caesar's Palace residency magic.
Exactly. So this backfires when she's studying this because she ends up losing it and she suffers a nervous breakdown from the memory of her dead children. And she savagely attacks the Avengers and she kills some people while doing it.
God.
And I feel like it should also be mentioned, but on her Marvel wiki page under weaknesses reads mental illness.
Oh yeah.
Which is, if you ask me, that's a pretty fucking big weakness. Is just like, I'm all powerful. Oh, and by the way, I'm mentally ill.
Yeah, that's like a very broad or general weakness.
Oh, totally.
It's like, how do you exploit this? Just
oh wait, she's mentally ill. There's nothing to exploit.
She's just fuck with her a little bit, and she'll be too mad to fuck with you.
Exactly. So, yeah, after she kills a bunch of Avengers and she just has that whole breakdown, there's a lot of X-Men stuff I figured we wouldn't get into since it's not part of the MCU. But after all this, Wanda finds herself in seclusion where Hawkeye eventually finds her and they hook up. And once again, Marvel knows best. In comes another case of stolen identity.
God damn it.
So apparently a reborn female version of Loki disguised herself as Scarlet Witch and assembled the Mighty Avengers.
Way better than the regular Avengers.
Right. To fight a demon called Chthon, like Cthulhu, essentially.
Okay.
So the entire time, no one knew it was actually Loki. And obviously this is the point where like Loki's good because he assembles Avengers to fight evil. Wanda or Scarlet Witch actually comes back out of hiding and joins her brother Quicksilver, and they encounter the High Evolutionary. So I omitted this from the beginning of the story just to drop a little twist at the end. So when Wanda and Pietro, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, were both kids, High Evolutionary, and if people don't know who High Evolutionary is, he was a human that becomes basically like an android, and he's like obsessed with creating new forms of life. Like in the current run, he turns Vision's daughter into a real human instead of an android.
Really?
And he also like makes an entire planet of where he turns every person into like an animal.
So he's like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like fucking with
like,
stuff.
Right. He's got like clay in front of him and he just wants to fucking just make things.
Yeah.
But he's evil, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, so High Evolutionary kidnapped them and experimented on them as children. So they're actually not mutants at all, as previously thought, but they're basically the effects of High Evolutionary's experimentation. He also drops a bigger bomb.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he says that Magneto wasn't their father ever. They were actually Django Unchained and Maria Maximoff's children.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And this is why it kind of works with the Avengers, because they're actually not related to the X-Men at all in the end.
That is a total mindfuck.
Yes, it is. All right, cool. So yeah, obviously I mentioned it before. We went from Hawkeye, this whole like love triangle thing from Hawkeye to Scarlet Witch to Vision. So yeah, Kevin, your next guy is none other than
Vision himself.
Yeah.
Which actually wasn't his first name. I don't know. That kind of blew my mind or my dick off. It didn't really blow my dick off. It just blew my mind a little bit. So, yeah, Vision was first. He first appeared in the Avengers number 57 in 1968.
Yep.
And I know we talked about this before. He
Very
was
famous cover, too.
right.
Worth a lot of money.
Yeah. He was actually created by Ultron, which is, that does happen in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
But he wasn't like the movie. Like
Let me ask you this: did Ultron actually make Vision to become Vision, like how he is in the movie? Like it's his next vessel?
No. So in the movie, Ultron makes Vision to become his next body.
Right.
So he's got the metal body. He wants to become this Vision body.
Right.
In the comics, no, it doesn't. It's not like that at all. So Ultron actually creates Vision, and he calls him Synthezoid. So that was his name for a while. Synthezoid.
That's a really fucking stupid name.
Yeah, it is. And Ultron creates him.
That name is so fucking stupid. Seriously, that's one of the dumbest names I've ever heard of in my life. God damn.
Ultron actually creates him, not as another body, but as this is where this motherfucker comes back into the mix. Hank Pym. So we know from the previous episodes that Hank Pym, not Tony Stark, actually created Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
So Ultron creates the Vision, this android synthezoid, to fight against Hank Pym and his wife, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. So the Avengers actually intercept the Vision, and the way that he gets the Vision name is the Wasp actually sees him and says he's a vision, a vision to behold type thing.
Right.
So it's shortened, he becomes the Vision.
Right, because she says, behold a vision.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do say that in the movie, but it's not her.
Oh, really? I didn't know that they said that in the movie.
Yeah. Ultron says it's my vision. So that's why it's shortened to Vision. Not really it's not really the same character, obviously, that says it, but so he adopts the name The Vision, and the Avengers intercept him and convince him that he needs to work against Ultron, and Ultron's doesn't have his best interest at heart. And he actually agrees. He becomes an Avenger pretty much immediately. And Vision doesn't really ever have his own comic. He's just always a part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So the team, the Avengers, initially believe that his body is a android version of the Human Torch, which it ties way back to Fantastic
Human
Four.
Torch. Yeah, Human Torch used to be an android.
Yeah, which I didn't know. I didn't know that he was an android.
Yeah,
I thought he was a human.
That was before. Yeah, that was before even Johnny Storm too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
they believe that he's this android of the Human Torch. Turns out Human Torch is an android, and it's kind of it kind of comes out that Lord Immortus, a villain, has this thing called the Forever Crystal and split the Human Torch into two entities.
Oh shit!
So we have the Human Torch and we have Vision, and Vision is an exact copy of the Human Torch.
Oh shit! I did not know that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Ultron rebuilt the Vision and basically has this plan to have Vision strike up this relationship with Scarlet Witch. And basically he does this because he knows that Vision can't have kids, and that any kids that Scarlet Witch has can be a huge detriment to the universe. So it's kind of he's got the best interest of the universe, but he's also got his best interest at heart.
Right.
Not long after joining the team, Vision is temporarily controlled by Ultron, and Ultron is actually rebuilt by Vision out of an adamantium shell. So that calls back to the X-Men, which they can't use.
Right.
They're using vibranium. So Vision actually makes him out of adamantium, the Wolverine claws.
Oh shit. Yeah, I didn't know that. Because I thought Ultron was always adamantium. So this is the first time he becomes it.
Right. So he's just like regular metal or whatever, and he's finally adamantium.
That's fucking cool.
The Avengers actually like regain control of Vision and kind of wipe his mind of the Ultron hex or whatever Ultron has over Vision. And him and Scarlet Witch actually do start up a legitimate relationship, and due to some black magic fuckery, they have kids. Like John talked about, the kids die in a weird fucking way. And Scarlet Witch basically goes crazy. And that kind of causes a rift between Vision and Scarlet Witch. And they kind of split off on their own, and each one has their own Avengers team. You know, and they pretty much never have contact. So during this time, like while they're split up, Vision actually becomes romantically involved with Carol Danvers, aka
shit.
Captain Marvel.
Nice.
So maybe there'll be some like conflict in that when they finally get
sweet.
together.
I like
And
that, yeah.
He actually has a relationship with Mantis, calling back to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude, Vision's a fucking baller.
He is. So, like after all this, like after fucking all these superheroes and shit, he's like, man, I want some Scarlet Witch back in my life. So he goes to like win her back, and they get back together for a long while, and Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch, just goes insane, and this causes Vision to crash in a SHIELD ship, killing a bunch of people, and they actually crash it into the Avengers mansion and like kill a fuck ton of people. So
holy shit.
yeah. On accident. I will say on accident.
Okay.
So at this point, She-Hulk is enraged and really pissed off at Vision and basically rips the motherfucker apart.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so She-Hulk rips him apart, and Vision is dead for a lot, like a few series. He comes back, and they kind of figure out that Ultron had put this thing into his system where when the Avengers had a code white, which is like an alarm when a supervillain is doing some supervillain shit, that Vision would like regain the Ultron hex, and Ultron would be in control of him.
Nice.
So Vision kills a bunch of people, and She-Hulk is like kind of talking to somebody, and Vision overhears. Now she's like, man, I'm really sorry that I fucked up and pulled Vision apart. And Vision like interrupts, and he's like, hey, it's no big deal. And they kind of make amends. And at this point, like in Vision's storyline, Wanda is basically abducted by Magneto, and Vision is just off doing X-Men shit for a long time.
Oh shit, so Vision's part of the X-Men for a while?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a legit X-Men, but he is with the X-Men doing X-Men stuff, trying to find Wanda while Magneto supposedly has her. So that's kind of where we end off with Vision and the whole Wanda saga.
Damn. Dude, that's a fucking crazy end to the whole like Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Vision thing. Like they have a very
it's a weird love
complex triangle. Yeah, but at the same time they have a very weird and complex and rich history, like all of them.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they have very compelling stories for not being featured. That, you know, at least the backstory is being featured well.
That's true. And I think it's so different than the movies because like Hawkeye has no interest in Scarlet Witch in the movies.
I mean, I got like the whole like Guardian like thing going on between like he like looks over her.
Right.
And I guess they may have touched like the conflict between three of them in Civil War where he comes and like saves her, and then she just fucks up Vision.
Right. Yeah, I guess that does happen.
I guess that's basically the only time they really touch on it without really touching on it.
Right.
All right. So, Kevin, I have one last question for you before we close things up. And this one's kind of more of an open-ended one rather than me giving you topics or two options. Which Avenger would you most like to be?
Definitely not Hawkeye. Because the guy has like 10 arrows and then he's pretty much out of the fight.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm all set.
Oh god, that's tough. I would think Thor.
I was gonna also say Thor.
Yeah, because he's got the strength, he's got the power, but he can also fly.
Exactly.
He's got the hammer.
Okay, let's take out the main guys. So we can't pick. You can't pick from Iron Man. You can't pick Hulk. You can't pick Thor. You can't pick Captain America. And I'll even throw Ant-Man in there.
Okay, so it has to be an off-brand. It has to be an
off-brand Avenger. Yes.
I'm probably picking Vision.
Okay, sweet.
Because he's got some shit. He's got some abilities.
Yeah.
What
So
about you?
I would pick Spider-Man, but I think he's still too much of a main one. Okay, so if we're talking about MCU, and I'm going to go with MCU, I feel like Loki can be considered part of the Avengers at this point.
Yes.
And I'm going to go with Loki because he kind of like, we sort of have like the same personality styles, and I would love to be a trickster and just fuck around with people and stuff. And also kind of like save the day and just kind of, get mine. So yeah, I'd probably go with Loki.
Loki's a good choice because you can be the hero or you can be the dick and fuck everybody over. And it's just like who you are. It's like, hey, that's Loki. Yeah.
And you still get redeemed at the end.
Yeah,
like you still end up like saving the day in a sense.
That's a good choice.
So,
like it's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I guess I get the real choice was Thor for both of us.
Yeah.
And then when we had to pick other ones, we were like, all right, we'll do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys. So again, thank you so much again for watching. I think we got to reiterate this, but the t-shirts are on sale. We have the Marvel rating system with the Infinity Stones. Get yours before you go see Infinity War. Really cool designs. You could obviously find them on TeePublic on Wicked Hot TeePublic store. And for any other information on them or news about what's going on with the show, and if you want to get your guests in for our final Wicked Hot Marvel Month episode, go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Wicked Hot Talk.
And Facebook.
And Facebook. And then obviously, as Kevin announced last week, we have our older episodes on YouTube. If you want to listen to those, and that this predates like the I guess 14th episode that's going to become, or is it 13th?
14. This is going to be the 14th.
This 14th episode, that'll be coming out today, obviously, because you're listening to it. But yeah, and if you could give us that 5-star review on iTunes, that definitely helps us get onto the charts. And yeah, it's just a huge help. And we'll give you a shout out. We like you guys. We'll throw in the shout outs. But again, guys, just to let you know, we'll probably be having more Marvel themed t-shirts in the pipeline and some other pretty exciting news maybe that'll come to fruition, hopefully.
Yes, we have more news, we have more shirts, we have more content all coming up. Like it's exciting and we can't tell you, but it's so exciting.
It is very exciting. So again, guys, I think Kevin, I don't know if you have anything else, but I think we can wrap our third Marvel Movie Month episode in the books.
Bye everybody.